What's up, everybody? It's your boy Season. So today, now, this is a blast from the past. Now, this is a viewer request from last year. I had not forgotten. It was just that it took some time to kind of fit it in to my kind of shooting schedule. So we're going to be taking a look today at the metal build Hi-Nu Gundam. This is actually an older release. It came out probably about 3 or 4 years ago, but we're going to be taking a look at this guy today. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go. So let's take a look at this manual. So, the thing about this Hi-Nu, now, of course, in typical Bandai fashion, we have all of the parts counts here. And then you have this. Is this the accordion style? Yes, it is. So it's a typical accordion style for that. Now, this guy for me has been on display for a couple of years. That's why I actually didn't show like what's in the box or anything, just because of the fact that most of his stuff is already out, and I'm not gonna put it back in the box just so I can act like I'm opening it for the first time. But the interesting thing about the Hi-Nu is that I remember when this came out, we were actually quite surprised in the Gundam metal build community, at least I was, because of the fact that I was expecting a new Gundam. Now, if you don't know the history of the Hi-Nu and the Nu, pretty much the Char's Counterattack movie was based off of like a novel that Tormino did. And in that novel, the Hi-Nu was the Gundam in that novel. And they actually readapted it for a movie. And then so they changed the Hi-Nu to the Nu. And so you have the typical Nu Gundam. Now, this is my #1 mobile suit. I don't differentiate between the Nu and the Hi-Nu. I just kind of go by like model numbers or series numbers when it comes to mobile suits when I'm doing like my top 20 or anything. So I love the Hi-Nu and the Nu. But for me, the Nu, because the Nu was different to me from any other Gundam because it didn't have the typical Gundam colors. So it's black and white and like yellow for the most part. And even this one, it's blue or purple. It's a bluish purple and white. And so that's what to me has always differentiated the Nu Gundams from all the other like main protagonist Gundams that we've gotten in the series. But anyway, so that's what we have for the manual. So now let's take a look at the Hi-Nu himself. So let's take a look at this Hi-Nu Gundam. So as you can see, his detail is quite well done. And that's the one thing about metal builds that I've always liked. Now with the Hi-Nu is a little bit more of a chunkier mobile suit in comparison to like a lot of the other main protagonist Gundams. That's another reason why I like him. He's just not your typical main protagonist Gundam, but he looks really solid. So they've got a lot of good part separation in here. So you've got the purple here with the light gray and the gold in here with the white. So he's got a lot of different things going on with him. So he looks really good. The decal work, you got a ton of decals on this guy as well. So you've got a lot of good stuff here. And of course, with it being a metal build, you have plenty of die cast in here. So you got die cast in the shoulders, die cast for the elbows and all of that. He's got a really long back skirt. So he looks really good, I must admit. And it's interesting because since he's been on display so long, I haven't really got a chance to really go over this guy, because when I bought this, I don't think I was doing any videos on YouTube or anything. So this is interesting to go back, kind of like with the strike and stuff like that. But the amount of detail on this guy is really, really good. So if you are a fan of this mobile suit, I can already tell you, you will like this guy. But we just wanted to take a look at his detail real quick. So he looks really, really good at first glance. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at his accessories. So let's do that next. So let's take a look at the Hi-Nu's accessories. So he's got a lot of accessories here. This is only half of them, and the backpack and the funnels, that's its own beast by itself. But first, let's take a look at this first. So first, we're gonna take a look at the stand. I don't usually bring that out, but since I already had it out, so you do get some writing on there. So it's your typical stand there. So you've got that there. You also have, this is a support piece. Now, with the backpack for the Hi-Nu, he gets a lot of support pieces because that backpack is extremely heavy. So this is a support piece for that, but we'll go over that when we go into the funnels and all that. So you've got that there. And then you have the two rocket boosters for his backpack. So they have really nice detail work on here with the different colors, and you have a lot of the part separation here with the gray and the white. So these go on the back of the backpack. So you do get two of those. So you get two of the rocket boosters. And then you get the polka dot shield. Now, this is not my favorite shield. I think it looks hideous, but this is the original shield that this version came with. Now with the option set, and I did a review on that one a long time ago. On the option set, you get kind of like his traditional colored shield, but the polka dot shield, it's never been my favorite, but you do see this with the master grade, and you do get this one here. It also does have the missiles on the back, so a lot of good color separation in here as well. So that's what you have for the shield. And then you get the Hi-Nu's beam rifle. So it does come with a detachable like hilt, or what do you call these things? Those things that, you know, that hold it up. So in essence, this is kind of like Macross, because Macross, you see that a lot with their weaponry in there, but you do have that is detachable. And then this is the normal beam rifle. Now, in the high weapon system, this gets upgraded. So this is a lot bigger, but this is the traditional Hi-Nu beam rifle. So that's what you have for that. And then you have the bazooka launcher for the Hi-Nu. So this is collapsible. This actually fits on the back of his backpack, but those do have that there. So we see this a lot, especially with like the Mark II and some of the original Gundam and some of those other mobile suits. But he does get this. So a lot of good part separation in here. So it looks really, really solid. The ammo box is not detachable. Okay, but you do have that there. And then of course that's the collapsible version. So that's what you have for the bazooka launcher. Now with the Hi-Nu, we typically get 2 beam sabers with most mobile suits, but with the Hi-Nu, we actually get 3. But the thing is, they're actually on him. So the hilt, he has 1 in his forearm and then 2 on the backpack. So you do have different beam sabers for those. So you have like the wider beam sabers here. So you get 2 of those. This is the one for the smaller one, because one of them can be used as a dual blade version. And then you have more of your traditional beam sabers here. So you got the wide version, the skinny version, and then you have the small version for the dual beam saber blade. So you do have those. And then I'll actually show you on the mobile suit where you get those. So his smaller version of the beam saber is actually on his forearm. So what I'm gonna do, we're gonna take this and we're gonna lift this up. And as you can see, this is the smaller version here. So he's got one of those, and then the other 2 are on the backpack, but when I go through the backpack, I'll show you those 2, but that's where the first one is there. In typical metal build fashion, he does get 5 sets of hands. So of course he has the closed fist on him. You get the semi-open hands here, the trigger finger hands, which are for the beam rifle. You have 2 of the bazooka hands, and then 2 for the beam saber. So these 2 are pretty much the same. It's just that they're at different widths as far as what you can put in there. So that's what you have for those 2. So that's what you have for the hands. So now let's take a look at the backpack. Like I said, that's its own beast with that and the funnel. So let's take a look at that next. So this is the backpack for the Hi-Nu. Now it's very similar, the movie version of the new Gundam, but so it has the same function, but it looks totally different. So you've got this middle part here. This actually can go down like that. So this is that here. You've got the 2 thrusters here and here. Now where I said, because remember I said it stores 2 beam sabers, the beam sabers are in here. So that's the regular size version of the beam sabers. All right, and then those will pop out there. And as you see, you got 2 holes. So you got a hole here and you got a hole here. So that's the one where the dual one goes in. So you've got one on that side and you've got one on this side. So there's your other one there. So those are the 3 beam sabers that he has on him. So he's got that. These do move in and out. All right, so it's just kind of getting them where you want them. Now the thing about this one, you have to be very careful with this backpack, because even though it has die cast in here, I do remember that people were breaking this. So if you are too rough with this part, you will get these broken. Now, you do have the fin funnels. So of course you've got 2 sets of 3. And the thing is, because I did build the master grade of the Hi-Nu, and I remember that in order to do this, you had to put on decals to kind of get this like faded look here and with the color separation here, and that was a pain, let me tell you. Hopefully, I think I still have it around here somewhere, so I may be able to dig it out so we can take a look at a comparison between the 2 of them. But you do get the funnels. Now with the funnels, you also have to be careful about these as well, just because if you look at this part here, this is plastic, not metal. So if you are too rough with this thing, people did break these for the funnels. So let me see if I can pull one of these off here so we can try to, I'll tell you what, let me do this off camera. That'd be kind of embarrassing to break it on camera. So let me do this off camera and then I'll pull it off and then we'll take a look at it right after this quick break. And we're back. So I definitely did not want to break that on camera. So what it is you just got these 2 clips here. So I did pull it off there. So it's just this, but this part is plastic. This is not metal. So if you are too rough with this, I do know of people who broke this, and especially when you're paying $350, $400, you definitely do not want to have these break. Now, as far as the funnels, you got a lot of detail work on the inside in here. You got a lot of decal work in here. You've got a lot of gold and bronze and gray. So it looks really, really good. And you do get holders for these. We'll actually go over that a little bit later. So you do have that. So you get 6 of these. And so you can have these, and then there is a place where you can have them all 6 deployed. So it does look really, really good. There is a third-party one that has kind of like film thing in here that kind of simulates like electricity or simulates the funnels firing. And but that is a third-party product. As far as I know, there isn't one for the metal build. I think there is one for the Robot Spirits one. I think they did come with that, but I could be wrong about that. But yeah, that's what you have for the fin funnels there. So pretty nice work here, but like I said, just be careful at the hinge part there. So when you do put this in and out, you definitely want to be careful with that. Let me see if I can put it back on camera. Oh, well, I'm not gonna force it on camera. I'm not gonna force it on camera, but I'll do it off of camera. But yeah, so that's what you pretty much have for the backpack. So it does look really, really nice, I must admit. And then of course, this is the connection part for the backpack there. So actually what we can do, since I already have the new out, let's go ahead and have this connected in there. And then you would just, let's move the camera up here a little bit. And then we'll just take that, and then that goes in there, boom. So, but what this does, this backpack, it does make him very back heavy. That's why he has so much support for that thing there, for the backpack. So, but you can do that and then move those back there. So as you see, he's kind of wanting to tip over now, you see? So what you'll probably want to do is just take those and spread those out just a little bit so you can kind of get those even. And then of course I'll put the other funnel back on. But pretty much, so that's what he has for accessories. So now what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to do his articulation before I start messing with the backpack and stuff. So let's do that next. So let's take a look at the Hi-Nu's articulation. So let's take a look at his head. So of course, first he can go up, all right? He can go down slightly. Now the thing is, just due to his design, he does have kind of like a really long head. So you're not gonna be able to get 360 out of this guy. I would say you're only gonna get about 45 degrees, it looks like. So it is just due to the nature of how that head looks if you look at it from the side. So if you look at it from the side, you see how long that is there? So unfortunately, he's not gonna be able to get 360 at all, but he has relatively limited motion on the head. For the arms, he can raise that up quite a bit. So we've seen some other figures that can't do that, but he can raise that up. Can it go 360? The answer is yes, it can. So you've got that. And then for the bicep, can it do 360? Yes, it can. Just be careful with it. That is die cast in there. So you do have that. For the elbow. Okay. That can go up there. So that's really good for the elbow bend. So it looks like you got a dual hinge here and at the bottom here. So you do have that. For the forearm, let's see. Wow, he's very, very stiff. You can spin that. Let's see if you can do a 360 here. Yes, you can. So just be careful with that. That whole mechanism in there is die cast in here. So that's really good there. And then for the forearm, I already showed you the beam saber here. All right, and then that will move up and down. I just have to kind of flick this up here. So you do have that for the beam saber. And then for the wrist, it will move up slightly and down. So you do move up and down. You do have some left to right. So it looks like the up and down is really this back piece here. And then the side to side is the actual hand here. So that's pretty good how they did that. So that's what you have for the wrist. For the midsection, he can go down. So he can go down. Let's see, can he go up? That's a pretty nice size up there, side to side. He does have a little bit. It is right at this breakage here. So he can do side to side. Can he do 360? I'm gonna guess and say probably not. Let's see. It's getting relatively tight right there. So I probably wouldn't chance doing 360, but that's about 90 degrees. So that's not too bad there. So, and all of that whole piece is die cast. And I actually may be able to get him 360. Let's see. Okay, there we go. That's 180. Let's see. 270, 360. All right. I was a little nervous with that one. But he can do 360, so that's good. So that's what we've got for the midsection. Now for the waist, he does have really long side and front skirts. So the front skirts are really long, okay? And then you do have, if you do have the master grade, you know what this means. That pretty much means that they at least put the function in so you can put the high weapon system on there. Bandai, where is it? But you do have that. So that's the front skirts. For the side skirts there, those will rotate a little bit. You're not gonna be able to move them up just because they're so long, okay? So that's probably gonna impede his progress when he's trying to do the splits. And then for the back, these do move. You can move these independently of each other, but they are relatively long. So you do have that. So that's what you have for the waist. Now for the legs, what we're gonna do, we're gonna lift up this front skirt here so we can see the leg. So of course you got die cast in here for the top of the thigh. So for the leg, now mine is still relatively tight. So as you can see, whew, that's about 130. It's about 130, between 130 and 120. So that's really good for that there. Let's see about the knee. All right, and it is very, very tight. All right, so it looks like you still got the V there, so that looks really good. No folding in on itself, but like we've seen with Mazinger and some of the other figures that I got. But that's still really, really good for a metal build, but this whole thing is die cast in here. So just be careful with that. So you've got that. For the thigh, can it spin 360? Looks like it can. All right, so you do have 360 on the thigh. Like I said, this entire thing is die cast in here. So I would say just be careful with it. Don't try to force it or anything like that, but you do have that. Now, can it do the splits? Let's see, let's move this out of the way. We're gonna try to raise the side skirts up as high as possible. Boom, no. However, that is literally just due to the side skirts. I think if you pull the side skirts off, and I'm pretty sure that you can, let's see. Can you pull them off? I'm not gonna, yeah, it looks like you can. It does look like you can do that. I'm just not going to because it's on there pretty tight, so I don't want to mess with it. But even still, even with those long side skirts, that's not bad. So that's what you have for the splits. And then for the feet, it will go up. He actually does have some toe articulation there. So you have that. It can go down. That's the whole thing there, okay? Then he do side to side. Yes, he can. Can he do 360? Probably not. I would say that's closer to 45. Maybe if he didn't have these long front parts on the leg, you may be able to get that. But like I said, that all of this is really, really tight in there. So that's what you have for the feet. And then for the back, I don't know if I showed this before, but he does have back thrusters in here. So you can move those as well. So kind of like the Destiny and the Strike Freedom, he does have that. And it does look like you do have a connection piece for the high weapon system if we ever get it. So you do have that. So that's what we have for the feet. So that's what we have for articulation. Pretty good, especially considering how bulky he is. He definitely has a lot of die cast in him. So I would just say when you're doing it, just be a little careful. You don't want to put too much force on it or you may snap it and then good luck trying to get it back together. So that's what we've got for articulation. So now what we'll do is we'll put the backpack and stuff on him and let's see what he looks like when he's got everything on him. So here you have the Hi-Nu with everything on him. So the backpack, the bazooka launcher, his beam rifle, the beam shield. Now, the question is, can he stand under his own power? And the answer is no. So let's go to the back here. So as you see, just with the fin funnels, and what I've noticed is, because this is probably took me about 3 or 4 times off camera, try to get him in here. And to be honest, he kept falling every time he would hit a turn on the rotating base. And what it is, I've noticed is that it's the rocket boosters. The rocket boosters are just too heavy with everything else that he has on him. So a lot of times in the modeling circles and in the display circles, you will find these like clear blocks here. And all that is like, especially when you're doing photo work and things like that, you can put those and it kind of like blends in with the back. So it gives the illusion that he can stand under his own power, but to be honest, he really, really can't. So even though his joints are solid, it's just too much weight. Now he does have a lot of support for the back, especially once you put him on a stand, but we'll do that a little later. But I just wanted to show you what it looks like, and it looks amazing. I'm not gonna lie, I love it. And I can only imagine, maybe that's the reason why they haven't released the heavy weapon system. Maybe they're trying to get it to where it can support all of this weight, because with the backpack, there's just so much going on here. You've got the bazooka here, you've got the 2 rocket boosters here on top of just the backpack itself. And so, like I said, for photo work and stuff like that, you can just use these little cube things. You can find those in Japan. I think I got this on Amazon somewhere, so you can find them, but it's like an acrylic like display stand based thing. So if you look for those, you'll probably be able to find that. So we definitely want to take a look at that. So I just wanted to give you an idea about how it looks. So what we're gonna do is I'm actually gonna put him on his base, and then we'll do some stuff with the fin funnels and all of that. So we'll take a look at that next. Now, before we put the Hi-Nu on a stand, I just wanna go over this by what I mean by he can't stand under his own power. As you can see, this is the cube here. So he technically can stand under his own power, but he's really doing the Michael Jackson moonwalker or smooth criminal lean here. So when I say that he can't stand under his own power, he technically can, but any kind of movement or vibration, he's not going to stand. He's just not. There's just too much load on the front. Now you hear me complain about the feet a lot because they say, oh, they're not long enough or they're not wide enough as far as the width. These feet are fine as far as the length and the width. Maybe if they had an extension that the metal build Strike has, that would help a little bit more, but I really don't think so. It's just the fact that he's got so much weight on this back. And I'm gonna be honest with you, just to get him in this pose, after I took this block off, was a challenge. And if I even attempt to rotate this base, he will fall over. So can he be under his own power? Yes. And could you do some dynamic posing with him? Possibly, but there's just so much weight on the back there. And I want you to just look at the side. Now look at where his feet are, and then look at how much he's leaning forward. That's the only way I was able to do it, right? And he's still rocking back and forth here. So I just wanted to be clear when I say that he can't support his own weight. What I mean by this is that you're gonna have to do some finagling in order to get him to do it. So now that I've gone over that, now we will put him on his base and then we'll talk about some of his support and all of that. So now we have the Hi-Nu on his stand. This pretty much takes away all of the issues with the balance as far as just with all the weight on the backpack. Now you can kind of really get him airborne and kind of get him into the different poses that you like compared to being on the ground. So he looks really, really good here. I do wish that the face, you could move the face just a little bit more, because of course I'd want this over. This is almost like the Gundam Seed opening pose. So it's something similar to that. But as you can see, the width with the legs, with the arms, all of that, I just kind of wish he had a little bit more maneuverability on the head. But I think overall, he looks really, really good. Now let's talk about this support piece, because pretty much this is all being supported by this one clear part here. So let's take a look. Oh, what it is literally is this clear piece right here. And what this is, you can tell that this is fortified because this is quite thick, but this goes into the back area and it's this piece right here. So it's very similar to this piece. This is just the one that has the funnels on there. So you can put the funnels on there and we'll demonstrate that here in a second. But yeah, so this is carrying the majority of the weight here as far as keeping him propped up on the stand. And it does a relatively good job, I must admit. So you can kind of rest easy once you kind of get him airborne. All of that other stuff really doesn't matter. So put him back on here. Let's see if I can get this in here. All right. And then you got these, and then you can maneuver the rocket boosters how you want. So that's what you have there. And so he looks really, really good once you get him airborne. I think this is pretty much the way that you would want him displayed in your cabinet. Of course, if you want to take the boosters off and then have him standing up normal, you could do that as well. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this piece out here and we're gonna put all of his funnels on. We're gonna see what that looks like next. So here we have the Hi-Nu with all of his fin funnels deployed. It actually is quite massive. It is a sight to see. So you can see the top one over there. You can see this top one right here. So now it is a little wobbly just because of these wires here. Now the back part here, as you can see, that was the piece that I was showing earlier. And what it is you've got these 3 little sockets here, and you can move these up and down. And you have these little wires that connect to the back of this piece here. There's 4 little prongs on the bottom of this, and you just connect them into the silver piece there, and that's how you get that. Now, can you bend these? I guess you can a little bit, but I probably wouldn't try to bend them too much. So they do have a little bit of give, but I don't know if they're actually meant to be bent like that, because really with just gravity in general is gonna kind of take over here. And as you see, anytime he moves or anything, they're kind of wobbling around like that, but it does look nice. Now you do have 2 of these arms here to have these. Let's take a look down for like this one here. And really, these are just kind of, I just have these kind of resting on the sides here. And, you know, so I try to get those to kind of prop those up so they're just not drooping down. But you do have those 2 arms to support if you do want some in the front, like you do with this one here. You have a second arm, and then you can have it to where it just kind of rests there. You just have to work with the back piece there in order to kind of get that turn to where you want. But overall, I think it looks really, really good. Basically, so this is a great photo shot. I may just take one. But it does look really, really good with the fin funnels deployed. Now, I would have liked these to have been maybe like a light blue or a sky blue to kind of simulate that versus them just being clear. I know that they do that in the Metal Robots line, but they don't really do that for metal builds. But I think if they just did that and then, you know, just had these light blue or sky blue, you can kind of simulate those kind of shooting out of the back there. But I think it looks really, really good. So it's not very difficult to put on. You pretty much put the back support on just like you put on the small one here, and it goes in the exact same spot. But you do want to have like this resting on top of the rocket boosters here. So that's how it's supposed to be in there. And then of course I've still got the bazooka on there as well. So it looks really, really nice. So I wanted to show you what it looks like with the fin funnels deployed. Now, if you do decide to get the third-party parts there, you can kind of simulate these being shot. So you can have these little lighting effects in here, and you can have those snapped in there. But I haven't seen any of those in quite some time. I know that they were around. They're around for the master grade, and I have seen people use them for the metal build, but I actually don't know where to find those because I haven't seen them in a couple of years. But so this is what you have for the fin funnels deployed. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to see if I can find my master grade Hi-Nu, and we're going to have a comparison between the 2 of them side by side. So we'll do that next. Now I had to dig the master grade out of the closet. And now this one came out in the 2010s, the master grade of the Hi-Nu. Normally I would have him in his high weapon system getup, but I wanted to take him off just so you could see these 2 side by side. So the detail pretty much is uncanny. Now, the same problem that the metal build has as far as standing under its own power, it's 10 times worse with the master grade. It really is. So, and what it is, I think it's just the booster, but it's a combination of all of this stuff. So they're both doing the lean, but I would say that the metal build, it holds together a lot better than the master grade. Because even though I do have the little cube thing supporting the rocket boosters, with the master grade here, you have an entire stand, and then the plastic, it's too weak, especially now at this age. This has probably been sitting in a box for, I don't know, 10 years or so now. And it's just like, even getting him to stand up was a challenge. So, but it does look good, the metal build, but the metal build to me is in a totally different class than the master grade. But I did want you to see what they look like together. The height, I would say that the metal build is slightly taller. Now also his stance is a lot wider than the master grade, because I could barely get him to stand like this. So he looks a little messed up right now. So the metal build definitely looks better. The detail work is better. The joints, of course, are more solid since this one does have die cast versus simple plastic. And especially now that this guy is quite old, he barely stands under his own power. So that's what you have for a size comparison between the metal build and the master grade Hi-Nu Gundam. I was gonna bring out the original Nu, but that one is all broken apart because I was putting metal pieces on him and I never ended up finishing him. Or I would bring him out just to show you as well. But definitely between these two, it's no comparison. Take the metal build 10 times out of 10. So that's what we got for the size comparisons. Now let's get into final thoughts. So last thoughts on this guy, you know, now going back to this Hi-Nu is quite an interesting experience. I haven't messed with him really since he came out. You know, I kind of just put him in my DTOF and then they just kind of sit there for a number of years. But he's really, really good considering how much stuff he's got going on. You know, the Hi-Nu is pretty much I consider it to be one of the chunkier mobile suits. So it's maybe not as big or chunky as like the Kasi Gundam or the Penelope, but it's still big within its own right, and it's got a lot of stuff going on with him. Now, the main thing that I like about it is considering how big he is, he still has quite a bit of articulation. And the fact that you have all of the funnel systems, you've got the rocket boosters, the shields, the guns, you got everything that you would want with this Hi-Nu. And especially when comparing it to the master grade, this is miles better than the master grade. Now granted, that master grade is quite old when I built that, and so it's just been sitting in a box for quite some time. And then the fact that a lot of that plastic over time just gets to be a little soft. So we had a hard time standing up and the whole thing there. But anyway, I think he's really, really good. I would say the main issue that I have, number one, is the movement in the neck or the face. He doesn't have as much articulation as I would like, just due to it's just the sculpt of the head. And even though it's definitely accurate, but for whatever reason, just that design does not lead to being able to really move the head all that much. Because even like with this flying pose, I would prefer his neck to be able to lift up so you can see it. Now, the other major issue that I do have with this guy, and this is the main crux that I have with him, is the fact that with everything on, he's just too heavy. And even though he has a ton of die cast in here and all of that, he still does have problems standing on his own. And I can't tell you, I wish I could show you some behind the scene footage of me trying to get this guy to stand up and do some posing and all of that kind of stuff. It's just without having those like clear blocks that I showed earlier in the review, it is very, very difficult. So even though he has all this articulation, just due to the amount of weight that backpack has with the funnels, with the rocket boosters and all of that, it's just, to me, it's just too much for this figure. And honestly, I don't think it would have mattered if this was a totally metal build. I think that it's just too heavy for it. Now, the other thing that I do like is the fact that they do have the parts to where if Bandai does release the heavy weapon system for the Hi-Nu, that this guy can do it. But unfortunately, I think we're going to fall in the same realm that we did with the 00 Quanta Full Saber. That they'll probably re-release this and then have the heavy weapon system with it, instead of just releasing the heavy weapon system. Because I've noticed with Bandai, a lot of times, especially when it comes to add-on sets, outside of like the seed stuff, because we've gotten almost every seed backpack that you could think of, but for a lot of the other mobile suits, we don't really get as much. And I think what's going to happen with this is they'll probably just try to make another metal build with the high weapon system and then sell that separately. And I think that that's kind of messed up. I don't think that they should do that. Now, we did get like the Mega Bazooka launcher that this guy has. I actually did a review of that on the channel years ago, but I think this still needs the heavy weapon system, and I wish that Bandai would stop messing around and just release these things as add-on sets so we can go ahead and finish these and complete the sets. Anyways, outside of all of that, he's really, really good. He looks fantastic. The amount of detail that he has, the color separation, the part separation, the die cast, he has a lot of stuff going on. But just the fact that he really can't stand with all of that stuff on. Now, if I start removing the funnels, if I start removing the rocket boosters, then yeah, he stands just fine, and then you can pose him any way that you see fit. But if you want everything to be on him, at the same time, you're gonna have a tough time trying to get this guy to pose. So what you wanna do is you definitely wanna have this guy airborne on a stand. That to me is when the Hi-Nu is at his best. So out of 10, I'm gonna give this guy an 8.9. I think he's right there, he's right on the cusp. He's a very good metal build. His only main drawback is the fact that he's so heavy and that the body just cannot support all that weight with the fin funnels and all of that. You know, so that's unfortunate, but I think still overall, especially if you are a fan of the Hi-Nu, you definitely want to take a look at this guy. I think that he'll like him, especially once you get him on a stand. So I hope that Bandai releases a regular new Gundam, because that's what I was actually expecting, but they ended up releasing the metal structure one instead, and then we got this one. So hopefully we'll get a metal build, the movie version of the new Gundam. Hopefully we'll get that in the coming years ahead. But anyway, so that's what I've got for the video. Thank you guys for watching. If you could like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate this. Send this out to all the Gundam fans out there, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. All right, I think we've got him. Let's go in 3.